priorities and the great things that we're doing in the School of Social Work. And so I would like to introduce and they will give you more about their introduction and their priorities and the work that they're doing. And so today you will hear from our very own Dean Hatcher. She's new to the school. You will also hear from our very own Associate Dean Kane with Student Services. And then you will hear from our very own Associate Dean Lee, who will talk more about the research work that we're doing. And so just some housekeeping. We're recording our session today. And if you would not like to be a part of the recording, we ask that you mute your mics. And we also ask that you save your questions until the end, or if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and we will respond accordingly. And so we ask that you enjoy our today's conversation and be open, ask questions. And so I would like to now turn it over to our very own Associate Dean Kane.
Well, good afternoon. It is noontime here in Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide. We are so excited to see all these folks come to see us at the University of Alabama School of Social Work, the flagship School of Social Work in the state of Alabama. It is wonderful to see you. I hope many of you are our graduates or are thinking about being our graduates. We want to welcome you. I'm looking on my screen and I'm seeing some wonderful faces that I recognize and some folks that I don't recognize. So that's just wonderful. I am a professor in the School of Social Work and I'm the Associate Dean of Administrative Services. So in that role, I help to oversee the events and continuing education. I oversee the building and communications. So a lot of the administrative role, I help to coordinate with some really talented people, thankfully, that work with me and really get everything done for the School of Social Work. We have an exceptional events program here in the school. We have events going on every single week, events for students and faculty and staff and alumni. We have a tremendous continuing education program that, because of the situation with COVID, has actually become a national program because we were able to capture people from across the entire country to come in for continuing education with the School of Social Work at the University of Alabama. It's been fantastic to do that. So that has become a national program. Thinking about my career personally, just to give you a little bit of information about me, I'm from North Carolina originally, got my PhD at the University of Tennessee. I can hear myself talking now. Okay, now it's gone. I had an echo for a moment. University of Tennessee, and then I spent 13 years at LSU, and that loss that LSU had this weekend was just glorious, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that football game. I really enjoyed our football game. And then I spent 4 years at the University of Mississippi, and then I came over here to the University of Alabama, and I tell you, I'm traveling the SEC. And I think this is the best school of social work in the SEC, so I'm absolutely not going anywhere. This year, I have been asked to serve in an interim role, the interim Associate Dean of Administrative No, that's my other role. That's what I do every day. I get confused. I have been asked to serve as the interim Associate Dean of Student Services and Educational Programs. And that's been really exciting to learn the student services portion of what the School of Social Work here does. So I am in Little Hall 1033 for any students who might want to come and visit with me and meet with me. Please schedule a time. I'd love to meet you and talk with you and find out what your passion is in social work, and talk with you about all the opportunities that a social work degree offers you. So many things. I'm looking around and I'm seeing people who I know who are our field directors and field liaisons, and I see so many people who are they're in child welfare in other states. Hello, Mr. Browning. It's wonderful to see you from California. I know you're in California, child welfare in California. Yes. I see school social work, Miss Dixon. It's so wonderful to see you also. I'm going to miss people because I'm just looking around and I can only see the people who are on my screen. But there's so many things you can do with a social work degree. So uh, uh, we have international social workers. We have social workers who are doing military social work. We have medical social workers. We have school social work. We have disaster social workers. There's so much you can do with your degree. You're going to absolutely love being a social worker. So once again, welcome. Thank you for coming today. I guess we'll be taking questions at the end. I welcome the opportunity to speak with you. You can look online to find my contact information. The best way to contact me is through email. I'm on email all the time and I will respond to your requests. And also if you're a student and would like to stop by, I would really enjoy meeting you. So again, roll tide and thank you so much for coming. Now I'm going to send it over to Dr. Hee Lee, who is our Associate Dean of Research.
Thank you, Daphne. Hello, everyone. I'm Hee Lee. I'm a professor and Associate Dean for Research at School of Social Work. I welcome you and the Roll Tide. We won the game last Saturday. So happy to see that. And also, I'm so happy to see you all through the Zoom. My background is, I originally came from South Korea almost 25 years ago. And then I started my PhD program at UCLA. And then I started my first job at University of Minnesota. And then I found that it's very cold to stay there. So I need to go somewhere. And then I found University of Alabama job opening. Yay, this is the place I need to go. So I've been here almost 4 years. And then I've been enjoying every single day, even though the summer, even though it is humid, I love the weather. So I'm here to enjoy the weather as well as the wonderful work that I have, as well as working with the students. I'd like to introduce School of Social Work Office of Research. We do a lot of research support here. So students call me research lady. So because I'm all about research. So this year we will announce some research fund for students. So we will have some research fund for BSW, MSW, DSW, and PhD students. So, what I do is supporting the research for the students to maybe writing a manuscript or presenting their research findings at a conference, or they work with some faculty research project. So if you have any interest in research activity, just email me. I'm really good at email, and I just hired MSW students as my research assistant. So there's a lot of opportunity. You can work as a research assistant for the faculty members. And I also got some email from the faculty members saying that, do you have any excellent BSW students to work on data collection? Or do you have any excellent MSW students to do literature review on their manuscript writing? And then they provide a co-authorship as well. So you will have a lot of opportunity to work with faculty members here. So please email me whatever your request. And then I have open door policy. So today I'm in my office. So if door is open, you can just, please mask on. Just enter my room and say, I want to have some 5-minute talk with you. Then, that's totally fine with me. So that's what we do. And then in our office of research, we do a lot of, student fellowship application as well. So if you like to apply for your doctoral dissertation fellowship, then, just let me know. So that's what we do here. All right, so I will then pass to our Dean, Hatcher, for her work as well as her introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me see some hands here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I appreciate you using your lunchtime, free time to sign on. I wanted to just come and provide a welcome to you because again, I'm excited about starting this year here with you. About this time last year, I had submitted an application to be Dean of this School of Social Work. So it's been a year-long process, a full circle process for me. And again, excited to be able to see some faces here on this screen. As many of you know, I was appointed and hired in December. So it's been about 8-9 months of me just preparing to come here. And so I want to at least share some of the things and ideas and priorities that I plan to focus on for this first year. But before I get into that, I wanted to also provide a little personal snapshot and background for myself as well. So I'm from Selma, Alabama. I was born and raised there and still have family there. So it's been quite interesting to be able to shoot down the highway instead of where I was living from Charlotte or Arlington, Texas, or Washington, DC. I haven't been able to shoot down the highway since I was 18. So, and that was some decades ago. So again, I'm from Selma, Alabama. I attended Spelman College for undergraduate and have a psychology degree. As I completed my psychology degree, I began to explore what's next, like many undergrads do, and realized I should have been majored in social work. And so went to University of Georgia, an SEC school, and received my MSW, practiced a little while, stayed in Atlanta after my MSW program, and primarily worked in the Atlanta City Jail. So my practice background and LCSW is based off of my experience in correctional settings and social justice venues. Once I felt like I wanted to do more within the profession, I decided to attend University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas, and obtained my PhD there. And that's when I focused more on community reentry for offenders with mental illness and looking at how we as social workers can support that transition. My dissertation was actually based out of Washington, DC. I received permission to work in the male and female units to talk about how can I help and facilitate their transition back into the community. So once I completed my PhD, my first academic job, returning back to the South, I was at University of Georgia again. So I was a faculty member there for 7 years, where I was also tenured and also tipped my toe into administration. I was the BSW program director there for a short period of time until I was recruited at University of Texas at Arlington, where I created the first Center for African American Studies for North Texas there, and was there for 5 years and really focused on fleshing out as a social worker how I could have my hand and impact for the profession across that higher education campus. It was an exciting time, but I realized I missed social work. So looked for opportunities to get back into the field and ended up at University of North Carolina at Charlotte, where I was the first director there of their School of Social Work. After working with the faculty and staff, we looked at our vision, we looked at our mission, and after a year there was able to create a Race and Social Equity Academy for that School of Social Work. And if you can catch on a little bit, you hear where my theme and foundation is as a girl from Selma, as someone that wanted to be fully involved in community work. I have been able to utilize my clinical experience as well as my research evaluation experience and program development experience to really make sure race and social equity, social justice, and inclusivity has been included in all the programs and entities that I've been involved in. So full circle moment again, once I saw the opportunity to come back to my home state to begin to move the needle for social justice, as well as making sure we as social workers were able to respond to the health equity needs of our community here in Alabama, it was a perfect opportunity written for me. And so I applied, and again, it's been a year-long experience as I began to reflect on it. So other than the fact that I was able to come home, I believe Dr. Kane mentioned it already, we're at a flagship. And what does that mean? It means that we have the potential to be major drivers as a social work profession within this state, within this region, within this nation, within this globe. We can actually move the needle on intellectual, social, economic, all of the areas where we need to impact critical issues. We can do that as a School of Social Work. There is an impressive cohort of faculty here that can create the initiatives that will help us impact the community. There are excellent students, both on campus and on our online programs that can actually help us move the needle. And then we also have community members and partners that are willing to go down that path with us. So it was a very exciting time for me to come. I wanted to share a couple of the priorities I agreed upon with the provost to focus on for this year. And I've shared them at most of my meetings that I've had with stakeholder groups, because I want to be transparent in what I'm focusing on as the executive administrator for the School of Social Work. A couple of things that I'm focusing on is, as I've written it for the provost, is bolstering and augmenting infrastructure for the school. Yes, we are a strong School of Social Work. I would love for us to be even stronger. I would love to be able to have the resources and the structure to, again, move that needle in this region nationally and globally. So I'll be looking at our administrative structure. I'm looking at our budget. I'm looking at our development and advancement initiatives, as well as how can we continue to find additional ways to support our students. So that's one of the goals. I'm also looking at continuing the growth in our academic programs. You've heard I mention that we have both on campus and distance learning opportunities. I want to make sure that we have the adequate resources and capacity to continue to grow those programs. And so we'll be assessing what's needed over the next semester and year for those programs. You may have heard that University of Alabama has now become an R1 institution. What does that mean? It means for our faculty, there are clear expectations now for them to have community engaged research as School of Social Work faculty members. But for our students, it also means that they now have opportunities to be involved in these programs. You've heard Dr. Lee talk about the Office of Research within the School of Social Work. We will be refining and enhancing our efforts to make sure everyone has an opportunity to be a part of those research and assessment initiatives. And I'll, as an aside, at University of Georgia, I was a research professor for 7 years. As an MSW student, I hated research. And then that's what I focus on right now. And so I'll always talk to students about continuing to have an open mind about where they end up in social work, because again, our research informs our practice. And so I'm gonna get off that soapbox for a minute. And finally, what I wanted to tie everything into, again, from Selma, focusing on the fact that I've created social justice projects and initiatives at every institution I've been in, what I hope to do is to coordinate a focus on social justice and other critical issues within this School of Social Work. And so it doesn't mean I'm coming to apply what my preconceived notions and ideas can be for this school. What I've been doing for the past month, my 1 month anniversary was last week. What I've been doing for the past month is talking with faculty, staff, students, community members about what their ideas are. And we will continue to develop a strategic initiative over this next several months, this fall semester, where we're looking at how can we flesh out the core existence of the profession of social work and make sure that it is present in everything that we do as in this School of Social Work. I've been exploring Tuscaloosa. I've been, because as a young girl from Selma, first generation, daughter of a teenage mother, grew up with a grandmother. I did not explore Alabama like some people may have assumed I did. So I didn't come to Tuscaloosa a lot. So I've been exploring Tuscaloosa. I've been exploring the areas around it. And there are a number of critical issues within this community that we as a School of Social Work can be involved in. I pull up online newspapers and look at the news. Interesting, I can't really find a news show that focuses on Tuscaloosa, but I found a newspaper. But beginning to think about what are these issues that we can involve in. And as a student, if you consider what you hear in class and review in class, these things are outside our doors and windows now, where we can focus on and we can be involved in, and we can have a strong impact in how to address some of these issues in the community. I'm here to make sure I support the efforts of the school in being more involved in the community. I'll end with saying, I always like to quote some stats from CSWE stats, evaluation and research. But according to our Council of Social Work Education, the profession is now growing and graduating at least 25,000 plus MSWs every year. It seems like a lot, but if you think about what are the social issues and what type of workforce is needed to address those issues, we need even more social workers graduating. The US Department of Labor, it reports that social workers, the profession is projected to grow at least 12% from it started in 2014 to 2024. And as all of you know that we are essential workers and we respond to the need within this pandemic. So I actually believe those numbers will grow even more than what the US Department of Labor is saying. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and we hear about a lot of professions that have been identified and called upon. And we are silent workers, and we continue to respond to it, and we will continue to respond to it. But we are essential workers as well, and for our community well-being. And I look forward to continuing to grow and have that impact in the community with you. And again, thank you all for coming. I'm in Little Hall Suite 1002. Feel free to stop by if you're on campus and mask up and wave at me. I got to get used to saying this. Roll Tide.
Thank you so much, Dean Hatcher and Associate Dean Kane and Associate Dean Lee. And so we have a question, and it could be for Dean Hatcher, Kane, or Lee. And so the question, in my personal opinion, social workers are something that we need more of. How can we as social work students better educate those around us about the area of social work? So that's the question. And so I'll just leave it at that, because I had a follow-up. It says, before I learned about the versatility of social work, I assumed it was just taking children from families and working with DHR. Also, are there any scholarships that are specifically for students who have chosen social work as their major. So a twofold question, and I will yield to either one of our panelists.
Let me jump in real quick about scholarships. So the scholarships come out of our office, the Associate Dean of Student Services and Educational Programs. There are a number of scholarships. We will be announcing our fall scholarships very soon. All of the students who are in the program will get that announcement about how to apply and what qualifications are for each scholarship. And then in the spring, we'll have another round of scholarships. So yes, there are lots of scholarships. I think last year we awarded over $321,000 in scholarships. So yes, we have scholarships. We want to keep you in this program and keep you in social work. We want to help you with the financing of education, higher education. We know that social workers, when you first get out of your MSW program or your BSW program, you might not be making the big bucks, but you're making the big changes that are very important. So we want to help to support you. So yes, the scholarship information will be released very soon. I'll take a stab at the information regarding better informing the public about what social workers do, because this is it's critical because you are absolutely correct in saying that most people don't know what we as social workers do, the breadth of what we can do, the versatility in our profession. It is important in every opportunity that you have to talk about social work, is talk about that breadth and diversity. We try to make sure that we're educating not only the students here at the University of Alabama, but people across the state of Alabama about what social work is. We do have a social work month where we do a lot of publicity about social work. I do believe social work month is March. Am I right? Man, that was good because I pulled that one. I know when social work month is. That's fantastic. So we do try to educate the public about what social work is, but believe it or not, I just don't think it seeps in. I really don't, because we talk about it so much about what you can do with a social work degree, but we hear consistently from students who transfer into our program, I didn't even know social work was a profession, or I thought that it was only child welfare. So even though we feel like we're doing the work, for some reason, it's not hitting the mass audience that we would like to hit. So you as a student or a patron or an individual who's working in the profession, help us in educating the public about what social work is.
I'll thank you, Dr. Kane. I'd like to add a couple of things to that. If there are any MSW students on here, they'll know that I did I started my welcome for their MSW orientation with, hello, I'm Dr. Shanavia Smith-Hatcher, and I'm a social worker. And I do that because we are responsible for our branding. And we begin to expand our identity once we let people know who we are. And just as when I was providing the welcome, I talked to you about the different places I've been to those different places as a social worker. There were approximately 3 social workers in the Atlanta City Jail in that mental health unit, and we all made sure we had our credentials listed on our name tag. If you email me now, or if I end up responding to an email, I have LCSW on my signature. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. Our branding starts with us. And so as a profession overall, we need to do better. But as individuals, we can begin to do the little things like making sure we let people know what we do as social workers, and then as social work students, what you've been focusing on.
I'd like to add one more thing. Yes, we are social worker. I also proud to be social worker, and then I'm also licensed clinical social worker. So I did a 5-year clinical work with people with mental disability as well as domestic violence. But I'd like to add one more identity as a social worker. We can be a social work researcher as well. Like a doctor, our dean Hatcher said, research produce evidence, and the research informed the practice. That's what exactly social work researcher does. We do evidence-based practice, right? But then where the evidence comes from is from the researcher. And then one time I was in the plane, and then the person next to me asked me, what is your occupation? I said, I'm a social work researcher. And then he told me, oh, social worker does the research as well. So, we need to teach the audience or our public people that, yes, we do research and that we do produce the evidence as well as the information we use in our practice. So please let me know if you are interested in becoming a social work researcher. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have another question. Could you explain the difference between the DSW program and the PhD program and the requirements and job opportunities?
I will again take a first stab at that, and I'm going to give you a very, very generalized explanation of the difference between the PhD and DSW program. However, if you're interested in either of those programs, I highly advise that you get in touch with the program director. The program director for the PhD program is Dr. Deborah Nelson Gardell, and the program director for the DSW program is Dr. Nicole Ruggiano. The PhD program is a research-based program. If you want to do research in a specific area of social work, and if you want to take on a tenure track faculty position, you're going to want to think about the PhD program. Most schools of social work favor hiring PhD level social workers if they have a research component to their university. The DSW program is a clinical doctorate program. So not as much research, but you get to really dive into specific therapeutic techniques. And our DSW program in particular, we have two concentrations. One is clinical, so you can dive deep into clinical processes, or you can dive deep into the administrative processes, because we also have a track that it's for individuals who want to learn how to be administrators of social work, social service agencies. So that is a practice-based DSW and a research-based PhD. That's extremely generalized. If you're interested in either of those programs, please contact our program directors who can give you very specific information about both of those.
If I add one more, we have a wonderful scholarship program for our PhD program, as well as the DSW program. So if you are concerning about how to, afford the PhD and DSW program, let us know. Talk to the Dr. Dab as well as Nicole. They will give you a lot of information, but I just let you know that, we have a wonderful, excellent scholarship for this program.
Thank you so much. Are there any plans to expand the school's focus on macro and policy work? Good question, because I love macro practice. So good question, Rebecca. An understanding of clinical social work is essential and has been a major portion of coursework, but I would love to see more focus on the macro and meso levels of social work. And she is a second-year MSW student. Good question. It's open to anyone who would like to respond.
So I just attended the MSW curriculum meeting earlier today. And so we are looking at the MSW curriculum right now because we went through the reaffirmation of accreditation process, which we went through with flying colors. about 2 years ago. So we're now looking at our curriculum to see what our students want, what our students need. We ask our students what they want, what they need, but we also ask the community what they need, because our social workers, we're hoping that a large proportion of the social workers we're educating will wind up staying in the state of Alabama and providing services to our very community. So we also ask our community practitioners what they need in newly educated, newly minted social work practitioners in the field. And the policy question was, I think that was the majority of the discussion this morning. I'm seeing Peggy shake her head, she was there, about how much of an emphasis do we want to place on policy. Policy is obviously so crucial. I mean, if you think about everything that might be impacting you right now is based on a policy that is coming out of institutions higher than we are, who are instituting policies that either positively impact us and very vulnerable populations or negatively impact us in very vulnerable populations. So it is a discussion we're currently having in the curriculum committees. And so you might, if you're a second year MSW student, you probably won't see those changes, but future students might see some changes with regard to the quantity of clinical coursework and that macro coursework.
Thank you. Associate Dean or Dean Hatcher, well, Dean Hatcher has stepped away for a minute, but would you like to respond to that question, or we can move to the next question? So the next question is, can you discuss the different MSW programs?
So I'm not sure if I understand that question. Can I have more context to that question?
I believe they're asking the difference between the MSW programs, the distance or campus.
Okay, so we do have a fully distance MSW program where our classes are taught virtually online. And then we have a campus-based MSW program where you can come to campus and take instruction that way. The content, the courses you take are the very same. But we allow students who want to get an education face-to-face to come to campus and do that. And then students, and we have students all over the nation who is in our MSW program. It is pretty amazing. I get notified whenever a student from out of state comes into our MSW program, because we have to let them know about the requirements for licensure in their state. So we have students, I think just this morning, someone from California, and I think maybe it was Connecticut. So we have students from all over the country who are taking our MSW courses virtually. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Thank you, Dr. Kane. Another question, if I graduated from Auburn many years ago, how long do credits follow me if I wanted to get my MSW?
That is a fantastic question. And I don't know the specific answer. So I'm going to advise you to take a look at the MSW page that we have. That will be documented there. And if you have any further questions, contact the MSW program director, Dr. Sabrina Jackson. The reason I don't want to answer that question is because it changes. It changes based on reaffirmation of accreditation standards regarding how long post-graduation those courses will count towards your master's degree. And I'm afraid to answer it because I'm afraid my answer will be wrong.
Thank you, Dr. Kane. And another question. what are the differences between the MSW, MSW/JD, and the MSW/MPH?
Oh, it's so exciting. Okay. What's so exciting is that we have these joint programs with the law school and with public health, where you can get in combination, we have worked out the curriculum so that you can work on both of those degrees at the same time and graduate with a joint MSW and law degree, JD, or a joint MSW and Masters in Public Health. It helps with, you don't have to spend 1 to 2 years in the MSW program and then do your JD. You can do it together so that it saves you a little bit of time. Those joint programs and those joint degrees are just so incredibly marketable. If you're interested in working in some sort of legal field with a social justice emphasis, think about the MSW JD. That's a great degree. And if you're thinking about medical social work, that joint degree in social work and public health is just fantastic.
Thank you so much. So Laura has a question. Can the DSW program be completed via distant learning? And I'll just say yes, it's fully online so that we can move forward to the next question. So Laura, to your question, the answer is yes. So Phil Browning has a question. Since some social workers are directors of large organizations, is there a training on IT, budgets on HR, or in any other programs?
In particular, in our DSW program, we have one of the concentrations is administration. And within that program, we do have a course on administration. And although I don't know the syllabus that well, I do believe they touch on marketing. And I can't remember the other thing that was asked, but I know marketing. I'm not sure about IT, but budgets for sure. And HR issues.
Okay, thank you so much. So as we wrap up, are there any last questions? Maybe one more question. Okay, well, thank you for your participation. I'll turn it over to Peggy Swales.
Thank you. Sorry, I was adding into the chat box regarding some macro level courses in administration. I know I see some of my students here too that I've taught at the graduate school level. I do teach some of those courses that emphasize program administration. So we do offer those. Thank you, Mr. Browning. So in addition to my instructor responsibilities, I am the continuing education coordinator for the School of Social Work. So we want to thank you again for being here. We have a monthly series scheduled throughout the fall and are planning our spring schedule as well. And I think Sherwin will mention more about that as well. So today's program does qualify for a CEU credit, probably 0.75, maybe since we're running a little short, but otherwise, just want to let you know you'll receive an email that will contain like a certificate of attendance as well as a CEU verification form. We also will have a program evaluation that we encourage you to fill out and respond to as well. Within that email body where we send those attachments, I'm going to compile the information you've requested regarding our different programs. So we'll put in the contact information for Dr. Nicole Ruggiano, Dr. Deborah Nelson Gardell, our BSW program as well, Dr. Amy, I'm blanking on her name, sorry. Anyways, we're going to put that information in here so you can have that. Again, thank you for being here. It's wonderful to see students, faculty, our friends and alumni and community members. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you, Peggy. Again, thank you, Dean Hatcher, Associate Dean Kane, and Associate Dean Lee. Thank you all so much. And thanks to our attendees. It would not have been possible without your participation. And so our next Noontime Knowledge is October 13th. Save the date. You will get emails. October 13th, we will address domestic violence awareness. And I would encourage you, if you have any topic that you would like to hear more about, send me an email and my email address is skwilkes@ua.edu. And you can find me on the website at Sharon Wilkes. And so as Peggy stated, we're in our planning phase for 2022 spring Noontime Knowledge series. And we're so excited about these opportunities that we can provide to you. But if you have any questions, you have any concerns, if there's something that you would like to learn more about or hear more about, you can contact anyone in the School of Social Work, and we'll make sure that we are intentional about providing those services to you. Again, save the date, please. October 13th, we will talk about domestic violence awareness. Again, thank you so much. This program could not have been possible without your attendance today. Roll Tide. And don't forget, I'm a social worker. Dean Hatcher said that we must brand ourselves. So when you're introducing yourself, say, I am a social worker. And so we look forward to our next virtual event. Have a great day.